When I was 18, I threw a house party at my parents' house for Halloween. It was closed invite, meaning I told people not to bring strangers. That was a rule my parents gave me. They were not at the house that weekend, which was why I was able to throw the party, with another rule being the place needed to be even cleaner than it was before the party. I invited around 50 people, and probably around 40 ended up showing. The party started around 6, just as it was starting to get dark out. It would be partially in the backyard and partially on the first floor. My parents left me money for refreshments like sodas and food to leave in the kitchen for people to take. I told my parents it would be a non-alcoholic party, but I think they knew that was a load of shit. My friend, who was a few years older than me, brought his DJ equipment to DJ, and the party was in full swing by dark. Everyone seemed to listen and not bring strangers because I recognized everyone. Just about everyone came up to me and greeted me after entering. I didn't drink too much because it was my party and I wanted to be somewhat responsible, but everyone else was getting drunk. It was later that night when eventually one of my friends came out of the house after getting food, and he asked who that guy in the skeleton bodysuit inside the house was. I didn't recall seeing anyone in a bodysuit costume, so I went inside the house where there were a few people hanging out in the kitchen. I asked if they saw someone wearing a skeleton bodysuit, and someone told me, yeah, it seems like he was snooping around the house. I grew concerned when I heard this, and I asked if anyone invited him or knew who it was. No one inside knew him. I looked around the house and then found him. He was walking down the stairs. I asked, "Who are you?" and he said Mike. I was using the bathroom upstairs. It was a really deep voice. He sounded older. His frame was also a bit larger, not like muscular, just stockier looking build. I asked who invited you, and he said Tom. I didn't know a single Tom, so I asked, "Who's Tom?" Then I just asked him if he could take his mask off. He didn't listen or even respond. He just walked past me, towards the front door. Then he left. I ran upstairs to check if any of the rooms had been gone through and if anything had been stolen. All the doors upstairs, except for the bathroom door, were closed, and after a quick look, it seemed like nothing was stolen. So I went to lock the front door, and then told a bunch of my friends about how weird that just was. I went outside to ask a few friends if they knew who invited the skeleton guy, and not a single person knew who it was. Eventually, I gave it a rest. The party was winding down around midnight. Most people were starting to leave. The few close friends stayed behind a little later to help clean up. After all was said and done, it was a pretty successful party. When everyone was gone, I started getting ready for bed. One of my friends, Vinny, stayed over on the couch downstairs. After brushing my teeth and changing into pajamas, I decided to go hang out with Vinny in the living room for a while. We had some drinks and just watched funny YouTube videos on TV. My little sister, who was 14, was asleep by now. She didn't hang outside with the party because she was too young. We were being quiet so as not to wake her, but when Vinny and I both heard noises from upstairs, it seemed that we woke her up. I was expecting the sounds, which sounded like footsteps, to move to the bathroom or something. I got a little confused when I never heard my sister's door open. I decided to go upstairs, just to check on her. I knocked on her door, and she didn't answer. I opened it a crack, and saw that she was sleeping. So what were those sounds I was hearing? Then, I went to my parents' room, and realized the door wasn't clicked shut. I was able to just push it open without twisting the doorknob, which was odd because I made sure their door was closed before the party. I looked inside the room without turning on the lights. Then as I backed out of the room, I looked through the crack in the door, and on the other side, I saw that guy in the skeleton bodysuit. I made no mistake. I knew that's what I was looking at. I'm impressed with myself for not running or screaming. I pretended I didn't see him, and pulled the door closed. Then I went downstairs and told Vinny that the guy from before is in the house. I had him call 911 and tell him that there's an intruder in the house, while I tiptoed back upstairs to my sister's room. I went inside and shook her to wake her up. I explained to her what was going on and made sure she would be quiet while following me downstairs. She did a good job at not freaking out either. When we were downstairs, we met Vinny in the kitchen by the back door, but we went outside to the backyard. Then we cut through the side out to the front and went to our neighbor's house, ringing the doorbell at least 3 times. Our neighbor let us wait with him for the police, but at some point before the police got there, that guy escaped through our parents' bedroom window. I know because the window was now open. Their closet door was also open, where my dad kept his safe. It's as if it were someone who knew about the safe being there that tried breaking into it, or just taking the whole safe out from the floor. It was obvious how the man broke in. He simply just walked into the party again. It could have been any number of people though. We never found out who it was, but it was someone who knew I was having a party. Someone older, and someone who knew about my parents' safe. My sister ended up telling our parents about it, and obviously that was the last party I was ever allowed to throw at their house.